With all guns blazing, we're invading a garden on Guernsey. I bet you wish you were here. I've got Andy and of course the invaders, and we're on the beautiful island of Guernsey. We're here to get a local garden shipshape, and all before the sun sets below the yard arm.
Now we've got plenty of materials, plenty of invaders, but of course we'll only have some plants if the garden owners can answer Charlie's tricky horticultural questions.
Right, last one to the gardens, a silly Billy. Today we're at a house called By the Sea because it's by the sea. Lisa and Tim Lowe live in this beautiful place with their 2 children, Emily and James. However, it wasn't as tranquil as this all the time. On the headland, there's a Napoleonic tower, and during the war, the Germans totally flattened their house because it got in the way of their guns. Lisa, Tim, a beautiful spot. I don't think I've been anywhere on Guernsey that's not beautiful though. I mean, fantastic location.
It is. I mean, that's what sold the house to us, I must admit.
The garden's slightly uninspired.
A little bit.
It's quite open, the garden, isn't it? Quite exposed.
Very
exposed.
And our problem is nothing seems to grow. We've bought plants and put them in and they've just died, haven't they?
Yeah.
Or stayed small.
So have you got any sort of ideas of what you would like in the garden?
I think something that's going to be complementary to the landscape. So when people come past, that we're not going to be embarrassed about. Something that's going to look really nice.
I see you've made a feature of your oil tank. Do you want that? Something done with that?
Yes, please.
Definitely. It was either that or in the front garden or back garden, and we thought, well, we'll stick it in the front garden.
And does this garden get the sun in the evening?
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
does.
does.
Some
So,
glorious sunsets from the west there.
Oh, right, so it's nice to sit out here in the evening time.
But we just don't use it at the moment.
So what's going on with all that slate there in the flower bed then?
We had, about at the back of the house, we had an extension and they ripped off the old roof. So Tim had bagged it all up.
All nice and neat.
And I came along and thought, oh, I've seen a programme that said to put some slate down, but it's broken slate, and it'll use it as a ground cover. So I came out with my wheelbarrow when he was at work and emptied them all out and thought, oh, they're a bit big, so I jumped up and down on them to try and smash them into smaller pieces.
You don't want to listen to what you see on those programmes.
No, definitely not.
No. So have you got lots of ideas there, Andy?
Well, I'm getting a few more as we're stood here. Yeah, there's a few plants growing, aren't there? The asters and the hydrangeas.
Well, I think you've got a challenge ahead of you there,
Yeah, certainly
Andy.
have. Yeah, thanks.
So who's doing the questions and who's helping Andy out?
I think you better do the questions.
Yes,
You've done your homework.
yes, I have been doing my homework.
Right, well,
There's a
we're
lot
down
more.
on the beach. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks
We'll
very
be
much.
later.
Come on, Tim. Now, there's not too much clearance in this garden, which I think is a good thing, because we've got quite a lot to do.
Right.
Now, we've got to maximise this view. Thanks a lot, Carl. So here's a plan. This is what we're going to do. Going to take up all this concrete, first of all, and change the direction of the path to the front door, because it's a bit boring at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're going to come through that fence,
great.
zigzag across the garden to the front door. We're going to change the lawn.
Yeah.
Because there isn't really much
No,
grass,
not
it's
really.
just weeds, isn't it?
It is.
So we're going to have a seating area down in this area here, decking. It's going to face that sunset over there.
Brilliant.
Lots of built-in seating, hide the oil tank, and then lots of planting around the edge.
Brilliant. That's going to look
Okay,
great.
there you go. Now you're going to be an invader for the day. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
So
Thank
if
you very
can pop
much.
this on, and then the first thing we've got to do is to rip out that concrete.
Right.
Well, Lisa, I have to say you are really spoilt. Look at this. You
It
couldn't
is
want-
beautiful.
It's like being in the Mediterranean.
It is, yes. It is lovely in the summer. Absolutely fantastic.
And do the children enjoy it?
They spend their whole life on the beach.
Oh, you couldn't go wrong.
No.
Now we've got some great plants.
Right.
Now I know you said earlier that you're worried because everything you buy never sort of gets through the weather.
yeah.
These ones will. They're hedging plants and they're really tolerant of salt water conditions.
Good.
And then we've got some perennials here with lots of colour. You know, there's a bit of a pink and red theme going on and that daisy effect. And then shrubs. Now, in colder climates, things like fuchsias die right back down, but you're so mild here in Guernsey.
You do. They don't always die back.
And then a real zingy group over here, bright yellow, which will really sort of uplift the whole garden.
Yeah.
And then over there, we have the finishing touches.
Right.
Got barbecue and cushions and
Lovely.
drinks and night lights and all sorts.
Great for relaxing.
Yeah, but that's not you, that's Tim. What's
Oh,
he
I
like?
know. On a scale of 1 to 10,
Horticultural?
0.
Uh-oh. Don't set your heart on that.
No.
Now, let me tell you a bit more about the group one. So these shrubs are often used as hedging plants or screening plants. So we've got Eleagnus, this one's Ibingii. Evergreen, as I said, it's got silver leaves underneath,
Oh,
which is
right,
quite nice
yeah.
when the wind blows them. Very robust, so you don't need to do anything to them. Then we've got Illyria, which is known commonly as the daisy bush, and it gets big white daisy flowers on it all through
Yeah.
the summertime. And then Escalonia, which you see a lot at the seaside as hedges.
yeah.
It's got these lovely pink tubular flowers on the ends. So again, it's not one that you really clip that much. You just tidy it up and sort of reduce the size of it.
Right.
And being evergreen, it will screen and it also stop a lot of the wind blowing into the garden.
That's great.
So here we go.
Right.
What do you call a narrow, straight furrow in the soil made with the edge of a rake or a spade, which you then sow seeds in? Is it a rill, a drill, or a trench?
Well, it wouldn't be a trench because trench is big. I don't think it's rill. I think it's drill.
Do you know what a rill is?
No, I don't. That's why.
So you've gone for a guess then?
Yes, I've gone for a guess at drill. I hope I'm right.
You are right.
Oh,
with it.
good.
Well done, well done.
Good.
Right, we need an invader. Carl!
Now this is going to be a really attractive seaside garden, but at the moment you can't really see it, so we've taken down this fence to get a much more direct route to the front door. And I've saved these hydrangeas because there aren't many existing plants in this garden and I don't really want to take anything away unless I have to. The path's going to zigzag through here to the front door. And it's a fairly modern, clean, rectangular design and it suits what they've done inside the house. And we've also taken up this band of concrete here so we can get some plants in to really soften the house there. New rectangular lawn to suit the design, and then finally here we've got a decking area which is going to have a seat on it, and that's going to look back here so you can see the sunset going on over there by the sea.
Right, now these plants here, they're all perennials and we've got bulbs and tubers and osteospermum,
Right.
which comes in all sorts of colours from white through to purpley pinks. Now, when it's growing in a very exposed position, like you've got, it's almost like a ground cover plant.
Yes.
Much more compact because it's keeping out the wind, and by being compact, it conserves water. The dahlia, this one's Bishop of Landulf, and it's got these bright red sort of hot flowers that come all through the summer from about May, June time, right the way through until the first frost.
Yeah.
And then we've got crinum, which is a South African bulb, and you see it all over Guernsey, this one. It's related to the Guernsey lily, but it's got these big pinky flowers that sort of keep throwing up big high spikes, and then you've got the foliage at the bottom. So here we go. Which climbing plant with its bluey pink flowers and its cultivar name is Nellymosa, is one of the most popular varieties of climber? Is it a hop, a clematis, or a rose?
It's going to be a guess because I know clematis is a climbing plant, so you can get climbing rose. Hop, I've never heard of as a climbing
Hops.
plant. Hops for breweries I've heard of, but not hops as a climbing plant. So I'm going to go for clematis, I hope.
Your deductions were fantastic. That is perfectly
great.
right. So you've got plants that you know going to grow. And I think, Paul, got to come and get these plants, mate.
I wouldn't normally put a seating area in a front garden, but in this case it's important because we need somebody to sit here and watch the sunsets in the evening. But it's also an integral part of the design. It's not just the functionality of it, it's the fact that being rectangular, it fits in with the whole rest of the design. Now, we've used a softwood here and it will go silver very quickly in all this sunshine, so it'll look like hardwood quite quickly, but without the extra cost, so that's important. But on the back here, so it doesn't just look like an ordinary rectangular palette, we've put in a bit of interest with these gabions. Now, they come as a flat pack of the mesh, and then you fix them all together with these spirally springs here. And now we've filled them with Scottish beach pebbles that we bought in, so you can't just go and take stones off the beach. But you could use wood, you could use logs, or empty wine bottles, anything like that. But then on the top, so it makes a comfortable seat, more decking here. 6x2 underneath, so it's nice and strong, holds it all together. Decking boards on the top, ties it in with the rest of it, and a fantastic view.
Lisa, you and Tim grew up on the island, didn't you?
Yes, we're both Guernsey. Tim came from the north of the island and I'm from the west coast. So we didn't know each other as children, but
What was it like growing up as a kid on the island?
it was brilliant. We used to catch the bus home from school and Mum would always be waiting on the beach, so we'd get off the bus on the beach and go for our tea. It was brilliant, yeah.
And do your children, Emily and James, enjoy it?
They just love the beach. They'd spend their whole time on the beach. They really do love it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Now we got some nice shrubs here. Fuchsia is not really a shrub in most conditions, but here, because it's so mild, you can actually use it as a hedging plant here. And you see it in sort of southern Ireland, and it will get to about 3-4 foot high quite happily. And then we got Hebe, that one's salicifolia. And salicifolia means a leaf like a willow, which is salix, so similar, and you can see the leaves are very narrow and long and sort of mid-green, and they've got these lovely long spikes of white flowers. Now that'll get up to about 3-4 foot high. And then this is one of my favourite shrubs, it's myrtle. It's got aromatic foliage that's sort of quite small, a bit like a box to look at, and it's got these lovely little white flowers that are also very scented and stays quite compact.
Right, great.
Here we go. Which country is the natural habitat of the beautifully scented gardenia, which is also known as Cape jasmine? Is it China, Mexico, or South Africa?
I'm going to go for South Africa with Cape Town, using the Cape, I hope.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
it's from China.
Oh.
You sit here in the sun.
Oh, I
I'm
will.
going to see how Andy's going. Well, I suppose it's better with the fence gone, Andy, but the access isn't overly easy and the lawn's gone. Are you sure you know what you're doing, mate?
Yeah, of course I do. It'll be all right when we got the steps and everything in
Right.
later on.
Today.
Yes.
The yard arm is about that level, and the sun, once we're finished then,
It's
mate.
dropping down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, we got the lawn out. That's all done, all levelled off, all the weeds gone.
Very sandy soil.
Very sandy soil, which makes it easy to dig, but it's not the best for growing things in.
No, not at all.
No, a bit dry.
Has he been working hard? Because he did say that he's a DIY fanatic.
He's been doing really well, actually.
Uh-huh. Have you enjoyed it?
I have. It's been absolutely brilliant fun.
It's not
Yeah?
over
Hard
yet.
work though. Hard work. I know it's not over. It is my fault to get the
Lisa's
fence
doing
done.
very well on the plants, except for the last group.
Oh, we haven't got them.
No, we got 2 out of 3. It's not too
Not
bad.
Not bad.
I like this over here, I have to say.
Yeah, it's
you
all right
carry
there,
on
isn't it?
there.
Very
You
much.
carry on.
Thank you.
Well, this bit's a bit flash, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like this. It's worked out quite well. And you see the sun goes down just over there, so it's perfect, really.
Fabulous. One technical question. These little boxes with pebbles.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Gabions. Well, what do you call them?
Gabions.
Clematis clematis.
Well, I think on that cheerful note, I'm going to go back for a little paddling because my feet are very hot.
I'll do some
Yeah,
digging
you
then.
did a bit more digging. You did very well. I'm impressed. I can't tell you what's going on over at the house, but you didn't want the lawn, did you?
It wasn't much of a lawn.
Oh, that's lucky then.
Good.
Right, now these are all our bright, zingy plants here. We've got Gniphofia, red hot poker. Now, as you can see, we've got various different varieties here.
Yeah.
And they're not always like the red hot pokers in that they've got the
Right.
red at the bottom and the bright yellow at the top. But they tend to all be sort of whites, yellows and orange and reds, very sort of fiery colours. Then we've got Helenium, and this one's known as Butterpat because it looks like really rich, I will have to say Guernsey butter,
Yes.
won't I? So it's really rich, bright yellow. And then we've got Hemeracalis, and they've got these lovely sort of big trumpet flowers. Again, this one's a lemon yellow, but you can get them right the way through to quite orangey red colours. Foliage is very similar to the red hot poker, dies down in the winter. Add a bit of zing to the garden, I
Yes,
would.
yes, and definitely need these.
Now, the next question is more of a horticultural question, and I need this Hemeracalis, and walk this way.
Right.
Now, you being a teacher of junior age group children, I'm sure you're used to making them match things together.
Yes.
So I've got 3 different plants here. We've got Hemeracalis, I've got Xanthodecia, and we've got an Agapanthus.
Right.
And then I've got these 3 cards that have got different names on. We've got African, Day, and Arum. Now, these are all known commonly as lilies, but I want you to match up the right name with the right plant. So whether it's Arum lily, African lily, or Day lily.
Right. Now I know that Agapanthus comes from South Africa, so that is the African lily.
Right.
Now the Day lily and the Arum lily, I'm going to go for that one being the Arum because the leaves are very similar to the white Arum lilies that I had in my front garden. And then that leaves that one as a Day.
Right, your
Like that.
deductions. Yes, that is from Africa. Yes, this is Arum lily, often called calla lily as well.
Right.
And then Day lily, because the flowers only last a day.
Right,
Well done.
great, thank
now
you.
You think that's all over now?
Yes, I do.
There's a project in your back garden.
Oh no.
Now we need to link this decking to the path over there, and there's lawn here, and you can often get a worn path in the grass. So to prevent that, we're going to put these slate stepping stones through here, and that slate's going to tie in with the slate on the roof of the house. But I wanted to really emphasise the front door, so we've got this cream coloured slab that actually leads your way quite clearly to the front door, and then by using a different colour slab that goes off the decking, it doesn't sort of confuse you when you come to the door. It's obvious that, you know, this is the way that you're meant to go. Now, these slabs are all butt jointed, so we're just going to brush those with kiln dried sand rather than having to hand point with a wet mix, so we haven't actually left a wide gap between them. And then over here we've got some steps up. How have you done these then, Dave?
How you doing? These are Guernsey granite blocks, the heaviest blocks I think I've ever laid. Not ideal for the sun, but if you just shape your steps in full block size, you can never go wrong. They'll always be equal.
And you've also put an overhang on the steps there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, well, you should tell me why that looks better, because I don't know. It just
Well,
does.
it looks better because it puts a shallow down there, so you don't look straight at the face here. But the other important thing, if you have an overhang on the slab like that, the water will drip off the edge and not run down the face. So if you're using a cream slab, you don't get streaks down it, all stained from the dirt, you see.
Learn something every day.
Yeah, and another very important thing that you should do in a garden is make sure that all the steps are exactly the same height. Because if you don't do that, it's easy to trip over them because you sort of get subconsciously accustomed to a certain height of step, and if one of them's slightly higher or slightly lower, it's quite easy to trip over.
It's all true.
Yeah, it's all true.
It's getting late.
Get on with it.
Well, look at this. In your back garden, the cat's here and everybody's very keen to get started. Oop. So we've got a very basic plastic container here.
Right.
Which is fine for planting up, but it does need some holes in the bottom. And it's a bit, I don't think it'll fit in with the design Andy's got. So we
Right.
want you to sort of soften it up a bit using a bit of rope, and we've got the scallop shells and wire, and also lots of plants that are going to be perfectly happy with the salt and exposure.
Right, yep, that's fine.
So you're very artistic, are you?
I'm not bad.
You must be being a junior school teacher. Think of all those projects you set your students.
Children do it, not me.
You just point.
I
and
just
tell
point
them.
and tell them what to do.
Okay. Well, I'm pointing and telling you.
Right, that's fine. Yes, thank you very much.
I've had a genius idea
Right.
while you've been taking it easy. See how, because it's a bungalow, that slate roof is quite a dominant feature of the
It's actually
garden almost, isn't
high
it?
level
It
almost,
is,
isn't
isn't it?
it?
And you sort of look down on the garden. So I thought we'd get some slate into the garden. So with these roofing slates,
I was quite chilled out until you did that.
I thought that what you could do is make these into planters.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've seen that once, twice.
Have you?
It looks quite groovy.
Yeah.
So do you
You've
want
seen
the-
it once or twice.
Would
This
you
is a
want the
unique idea.
Is it?
Well, I don't know.
Is it going to go on the soil, or do you want a bottom?
I think we need the bottom because I might put one on the decking.
Okay.
But I'll leave all that technical stuff to you.
Oh, I'm good on technical, mate.
There you go. You'll need that.
All right.
See you later. Now, if you want a low maintenance garden without any weeding, one way you can do it is to plant lots and lots of plants so they all knit together and you don't have any bare soil. That's one way. Another way, much easier, much quicker, is to put down a membrane, a weed mat like this. Put some plants into it, and what you do is you cut across, fold back the flaps, dig a hole, put your plant in, and then make sure you put the gravel on after you've done the plants. It's a bit difficult then. So you put the gravel around it. You need a good couple of inches because otherwise this stuff will all kick about and it will expose the weed mat. And once that happens, it starts to ruck up and it all gets a bit messy. Now, another way to keep the weeds down is to have a lawn because then you can just run a mower over it. And what we got here, we've got basically interlocking turfs here like this. So you overlap them, you don't have another join there. And the reason for that is so that the edges don't dry out. But what you'll find is if you don't water this straight away, if you lay it on a hot day like today, it shrinks really quickly. And once it shrinks, you have gaps between the turfs and you can never rehydrate it. So make sure you keep it nice and moist. And we've put these stepping stones through the lawn here so that you don't get a worn path, which is always going to be a problem on a thin soil like this because it's hard for the lawn to take. And we're hiding this oil tank here with a bit of trellis. Paul's been putting this up all day and he's nearly finished now. Basically, post concreted into the ground, quite attractive post, quite a nice piece of trellis which we cut down so that it's just the right height because we don't want to block the view over there. Climbers going to grow onto that, and then in front of it we're going to have these evergreen shrubs so that that whole thing will eventually just disappear into the distance. The plants are about to go in, I've just got a few more to place and we're nearly there.
Lisa, hey, not bad. That looks all right. I see what you're a junior teacher. You are very artistic.
Thank you.
Well, that's you finished now.
Right.
Really, really.
Oh, brilliant.
So you can go inside and chill out for a bit.
Great.
You know, looking out the front window.
I
there.
won't.
Right, you get inside. I think
Right.
we'll call the guys.
Okay.
Invaders!
The good thing about red hot pokers is that they come in yellow as well. But there are lots of different ones and they can be in flower from late spring right the way through into the autumn. This is a late flowering one, late summer, early autumn. It's called Bee's Sunset. Some are evergreen, this one's deciduous so it will die down in the winter, but they need lots of sun and a well-drained soil. Now this is a great plant for a hot border. It's a daylily and they come in a huge range of colours. Yellows, purples, reds and oranges. They'll grow in a huge range of soil conditions, need a bit of sun, take a bit of shade, but they're very, very reliable.
Right, there we go. I've left a nice big gap here so when it's watered it doesn't all overflow the side. But it's an amazing effect. You've got the slate with copper wire that I've just drilled through the slate, tied it up, put a bottom in, and we put a nice caryopteris in, and the blue works fantastically with the blue-grey slate. Okay, Andy, you ready for this, mate? 1, 2, 3. Well, Tim, you've been enjoying yourself in the garden. Now you can have the enjoyment of answering a question for all these finishing touches. We've got the barbecue, some nice cushions, night lights, nice jug and goblets.
Very nice indeed.
And Lisa says your horticultural knowledge is really good.
I think she might have lied.
All right then, here we go. What do you call a plant that grows to full maturity, that is, it flowers, sets seed, and dies all in 1 year? Is it a perennial, an annual, or a biennial?
I think it must be an annual, being occurring once every year. I think it must be an annual.
You're right. An annual set seeds, and they flower, and they all die down in 1 year, and that's it. Well done.
Thank you
That's
very
you
much.
finished.
Thank you.
You can go inside, no talking to Lisa about what's been going on in the
I
front
won't
garden.
tell her a
though.
thing.
And
No
not that
problem.
you've won that.
Certainly not about that.
Off you go.
Thank you very much.
Now, this morning when we turned up, what did the garden look like?
A concrete path in front of the house, scruffy grass, and an oil tank in the corner.
Okay, you can open your eyes now.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So the concrete
Oh, you've
path's
kept
gone.
the hydrangeas, but they look lovely. You've cut them back, and the asters, and the concrete path's gone.
That's all gone,
Oh, wow. I love this decking. Oh, there's pebbles. Oh,
Now they're
lovely.
called gabions.
Yes, gabions. Because, you see, we fill them with pebbles just to kind of link it with the sea a bit, because that's where we are after all. And then your granite wall there, which is a bit of an asset of the garden. We've put a lot more colour and stuff in front of it too, because that's a really sunny spot and it's sheltered from the sea there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the prime bit of the garden.
And
Lots
the
of nice
lawn's had a
plants.
bit of a makeover, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
We got-
It's just amazing. It's fantastic.
And with the oil tank, you can still see it, but in time the plants can grow up that trellis, and all these bushes in front will hide it.
No, it's just so beautiful. I'm lost for words. And what do you think?
I think it's really,
It's just-
really nice.
We're definitely going to use our
Definitely.
front area of the house a lot more now.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
thank you very much. It's
So-
amazing.
So what does it mean having all the garden done in one day?
It just means that, I mean, we were putting off the front garden because we knew it would take so many hours to do it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Tim's
just-
have taken so many hours to do it. Not me.
Thank you
I
very
thought
much.
you said you were the gardener.
I do the maintaining. He does the making.
I certainly couldn't have done this in a day.
No.
It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
That's superb.
And thank you all the invaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye!
Well, I don't understand this yard arm lark.
No, I don't either.
3 foot long arm?
Yay! Let's just drink it.
All right then. Cheers.
Cheers.
Go on, guys.
Come on.